partners once again. A little business between friends, and always just a step ahead of the law. Always just a step ahead of the law.
Yeah, I mean, back in the indoor era, you know, we like to keep 30 lighters. And again, it was also like we were talking about earlier with the size of a greenhouse. You know, I get my best yields off 10 wides. I like 20 wides. 30 wides suck. You know, it's just hard with all that air interface and exchange. But same way with indoors. I was like 30 light indoors was the perfect amount for me to maintain my quality and my yields. And so that's about where I stay. Now I know people that would blast out, you know, 100 lights in one spot. But I like 30 light rooms. And we had one out in Dinsmore, and we wanted to fire up. We'd only gotten a few runs off it the winter before. And Dinsmore's pretty harsh winters. I mean, you get snowed in out there. And we had it was like a 12-foot trailer. This thing was tiny, that my buddy's dad had died in on the mattress. The thing was full of wasps. It had a leaky roof. We just wrapped the whole tarp in this thing with a blue tarp. Just put a blue tarp on this thing. When it would rain and the wind would blow, you would get water leaking out of your cupboards. It would blow up underneath that tarp. That was our home. We had a hot water heater mounted to a tree outside. So if you wanted to shower, you went and stood on a cold, wet rock in a blizzard and just showered in the blizzard. We didn't even have a curtain or anything. It was just full exposure. And that was home. I mean, we'd sit there and play like Sonic the Hedgehog, like, you know, endlessly, just solo. We'd take shifts, you know, 4 days on, 3 days off, and then rotate back. And a friend of mine that lives out in Whitethorn, he was my partner on that one. And we wanted to fire up a little early. The second year we had this scene running, and our generator exhaust was tunneled underground, went to a 50-gallon drum full of rocks, and the end was popped open a little bit. That way it muffled the sound, right? And so you couldn't hear this thing echoing up the canyon at all. But over the summer, a wood rat had crawled inside that barrel and built a wood nest inside those rocks. So after about 10 days of preheating this damn nest up, because it was like November, we fired up. About 6 in the morning, the ranch down across from there starts shooting guns. And so I get up to see what the hell's going on, and I see 2 40-foot trees just engulfed in flames. And our indoor is buried on the side of a hill, and it's got slash over the top of it. So it's basically just a kindling pile on top of our indoor to keep it camouflaged. And the fire is working its way up the hill towards it. And I go out to grab the garden hose, and my pressure's dead. And I mean, this thing is pissing like a block bladder. I mean, it's barely trickling, and the flames are raging. So I'm in panic mode now. I'm hearing gunshots. Somebody definitely called it in already. I jump on my quad and I start taking off up the hill to get the hell out of there. And I realize, oh shit, you know, I left my wallet stuff back down the trailer, left my ID. Back down the hill, grab that. Then I make it to the top of the hill. I cut through somebody else's property. They were absentee landlords, and hid out there. And I hid up on top, and I watched bombers coming in from Chester dropping on this thing. I watched the helicopters coming in. I watched D5s going by from Cal Fire. Watched the sheriffs rolling in on this thing. But it was so hot it nuked the entire. I mean, the only thing that was left was the bed and soil in the beds and the ballasts, and they were charred, and the charred remain of the generator. I mean, that was all that was left. There wasn't any evidence except for the hardware, and so nobody really got in trouble on it. You know, the place was in our buddy's dad's name, and so he got a letter from the sheriff's department saying, "Hey, we suspect an illegal, you know, grow operation, blah blah blah." And he's like, "Don't know anything about it. You know, I was rented out. Don't know what to say." And that was kind of the end of it. But there was flame shooting off the top of these 40-foot trees. I mean, it looked like match heads, and it was all from a wood rat. I mean, this wood rat brought that whole operation down. It's just like, oh my gosh, no. So that was one of my last indoors. I was kind of getting bitter after that one. We had another one out in Bloxburg that burned down a year after I got out of it. And so that was also another common factor, is, generator maintenance and, things catching on fire, and that was more of a catalyst to get you in trouble than the cops actually finding the indoor, right? It was like something fucked up, a generator would be blowing black smoke or something, and would catch fire, whatever. And yeah, so we burned a couple down.